My boy was 17 years old, whole life ahead of him. You understand? He hadn't done nothing yet, hadn't graduated, hadn't kissed a girl proper, hadn't held a job longer than 2 weeks. I was 53, a bad back, bad knees, 2 shifts a day and nothing to show for it but a rented apartment and a son I barely saw. So when the detective asked who pulled the trigger, I looked at my boy and I said, I did. That was 24 years ago. He's 41 now, got a wife, got kids, got a job managing a hardware store in Naperville. He never came to see me, not once. What would you have done? My name is Harold Patterson. I'm 77 years old. I've been in this place for 24 years, 4 more than my sentence, because the parole board don't care about fathers. They care about paperwork. The state of Illinois says I committed voluntary manslaughter. That's what the file says. That's what the judge read out loud in a courtroom full of people who didn't know a damn thing about me or my boy. You know what I call it? I call it being a father. The only time in my life I was a real father, the one time it mattered, and they gave me 20 years for it. These hands used to carry my son on my shoulders. Now they shake when I hold a cup of coffee. I got arthritis in every finger. The doctor in here says it's from the cold. The heating in this block ain't worked right since I got here. But I think it's from gripping that table in the interrogation room. I think my hands never let go of that night. I got a grandson. His name is Marcus. I know his name because my sister Doreen wrote me a letter in 2019. That's how I found out. A letter, not a phone call from my son, not a picture. A letter from my sister saying, Harold, you should know, Darnell had a boy, named him Marcus. Marcus is 6 now. I've never heard his voice. I worked the night shift at a warehouse on 95th in Stony Island. 6 nights a week, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Security guard, you know, walking the floors, checking the locks, watching nothing happen for 8 hours straight. During the day, I picked up work at a laundromat on Cottage Grove, fixing machines, mopping floors, whatever they needed. You know why I worked 2 jobs? Because Darnell's mama left when he was 9. Just left. On Tuesday, she was there. Wednesday morning, her closet was empty, and there was a note on the kitchen table. I don't even remember what it said. Something about needing to find herself. I remember thinking, you got a 9-year-old boy and you need to find yourself. So it was me and Darnell, just us, in a 2-bedroom apartment on the south side, with bars on the windows and a radiator that clanked all night like somebody was trapped inside the walls. I used to make him breakfast before I left for the laundromat. Scrambled eggs. Every morning. He liked them with hot sauce, the green kind, the Cholula. And I'd leave a note on the counter, be home by dark. Love, Dad. Every day. Same note, same handwriting. I figured if he saw it enough times, he'd know somebody cared. But here's the thing about the South Side in the 90s. You'll know what happens when a boy don't got nobody home after 3 p.m. The block raises him, the corner raises him, and the corner don't leave notes on the kitchen counter. I saw the signs. I ain't blind. He started coming home later, started wearing colors, started answering questions with his jaw set and his eyes somewhere else. I sat him down 100 times. My Darnell, these boys ain't your friends. These boys are gonna get you killed or locked up. You hear me? And he'd nod. He'd say, yeah, Dad, I hear you. And then he'd walk right back out that door. I went to his school, Lincoln High, sat in the counselor's office for 2 hours waiting. 2 hours. Now, when the woman finally saw me, she looked at me like I was wasting her time. I told her my boy was running with a crew. I told her he was 15 and he was slipping. You know what she said? She said, Mr. Patterson, we have 1,400 students. We can't monitor every child's social life. 1,400 students. That's the number she gave me. Like my son was a number. I tried to move us out. I did. I saved $2,200 in a coffee can under the sink. Looked at apartments in Cicero, in Berwyn, somewhere without the gangs, somewhere with grass. But $2,200 don't get you a deposit in first months in any neighborhood worth moving to. Not with my credit, not on my salary. So I stayed, and I kept working 2 jobs, and I kept leaving notes on the counter. And every night at that warehouse, walking those empty floors at 2 a.m., I'd pray. I'd say, God, just keep him alive till I can figure this out. Just keep my boy alive. God kept him alive, but God didn't keep him out of trouble. And the trouble came on a Thursday night in March 14th, 2002. I remember the date the way you remember a car wreck. Your body remembers it before your brain does. There's a moment in every father's life where he finds out what he's made of. Not what he thinks he's made of, not what he hopes. What he is, down to the bone. Mine was 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday. I was at the warehouse, middle of my shift. The phone in the guard booth rang. Nobody ever called that phone. 6 years I worked there. That phone rang maybe twice. Wrong numbers. I picked it up and it was Darnell. Crying. Not the kind of crying a boy does when he's scared. The kind of crying that sounds like an animal caught in something. He said, "Daddy, I did something. Daddy, please come." I drove. I don't remember driving. I remember my hands on the steering wheel, and I remember the streetlights, and I remember the smell of that car, oil and old coffee, and the pine tree air freshener that Darnell gave me for Christmas that was still hanging from the mirror. But I don't remember driving. I got to the alley behind the liquor store on 79th, and there was my boy, standing there, shaking like the temperature had dropped 40 degrees in his body. He was wearing a white t-shirt and there was blood on it, not his blood. And there was a boy on the ground, not moving, maybe 19, 20 years old. I don't know his name. I learned it later at the trial. DeShawn Williams. He was 19. He had a daughter. My son was holding a gun. I don't know where he got it. I don't know how long he'd had it. I didn't even know he owned a gun. That's how much I didn't know about my own son's life. That's what 2 shifts and no sleep buys you. A stranger in your own house. Darnell looked at me and he said, "Daddy, it was self-defense." He came at me. He had a knife. And I looked at the boy on the ground. And I looked at the gun in my son's hand. And I looked at my son's face. 17 years old, tears running down, snot on his lip, shaking like a leaf in a storm. And in that moment, I didn't think. That's the truth. People ask me, did you think about it? Did you weigh your options? No, there was no thinking. There was just knowing, the way you know your own name, the way you know which hand is your right hand. I just knew. My boy was 17. If he goes in as a juvenile tried as an adult. Black boy, Southside, gang ties, dead body, gun in hand. They would have buried him in the system. Life maybe. At 17, I was 53. I'd lived. I'd had a wife, lost a wife. I'd held my baby. I'd watched sunsets and eaten good food and laughed till my stomach hurt. I'd had a life. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. So when the sirens came, and they came fast, somebody heard the shot. I took the gun from Darnell's hand. I wiped it on my shirt. I told him, go home, lock the door. Don't say nothing to nobody. You hear me? Nothing. And he ran. He ran so fast he left one of his shoes. A Nike, white with a red swoosh. I kicked it under a dumpster. And when the police pulled up, I was standing there. Gun in my hand. Blood on my son's shirt that I'd taken off him and put on over mine. DeShawn Williams on the ground. The officer said, "What happened?" And I said, "He came at me with a knife. I shot him." That was the first time in my life I ever fired a gun. I didn't fire it, but I held it like I did. And the lie came out of my mouth so smooth, so natural, it scared me. Like it had been sitting in there waiting. Like being a father had already written the script and all I had to do was read the lines. That was 24 years ago. You know what's funny? I went to that school. I went to the counselor. I tried to move my son out of the neighborhood. I begged for help. Nobody helped. But when I stood in that alley with a gun, the system showed up real fast, real efficient, real organized. The system that couldn't save my boy from the streets. Worked perfect when it came to putting his daddy in a cage. The trial was fast. Public defender, young kid, maybe 28. He tried. I'll give him that. But I pled guilty. Voluntary manslaughter. Self-defense claim didn't hold because the prosecution proved DeShawn's knife was 15 feet from the body, too far for a man coming at you. So it went from self-defense to heat of passion. 20 years. Darnell came to the sentencing, sat in the back row. He was wearing a tie. I remember thinking, where did he get a tie? I'd never bought him a tie. Somebody else was taking care of him now. My sister Doreen. She stepped in. She did what I couldn't do from in here. He looked at me when the judge said 20 years. And his face did something I'll never forget. It crumpled like a piece of paper somebody balled up and threw away. He put his head down and his shoulders shook, and Doreen put her arm around him and walked him out. That was the last time I saw my son. He never came to visitation, not once. I wrote him letters every week for the first 2 years. Every week, I numbered them. Letter number 1, letter number 2. I got to letter to 104 before I stopped. He never wrote back, not one. Doreen told me later, years later, that Darnell couldn't face me. She said the guilt was eating him up. She said he'd wake up at night sweating, saying my name. She said he couldn't even drive past the prison. He'd take the long way around, 40 extra minutes on the highway, just to avoid seeing the building where his father was. And I thought that's the cruelest joke God ever told. I took his place so he could be free, and the freedom I gave him became its own kind of prison. He's been locked up in guilt for 24 years. No bars, no guards, but locked up just the same. You know what that is? That's like building a house for somebody. Putting every nail in straight, painting every room, fixing every door so it don't creak, and then finding out they can't walk through the front door. They just stand outside and stare at it. Because the house reminds them of you, and you remind them of the worst night of their life. I saved my son from prison, and my son couldn't save himself from what I did. Doreen sends me pictures sometimes. Darnell at Christmas. Darnell with his wife. Her name is Keisha. Darnell at the hardware store in his work shirt with manager stitched on the pocket. And the boy, Marcus, got my nose, Doreen says so. Got the Patterson nose, wide and flat, and my forehead. He looks happy. In the pictures, he looks happy. My son looks like a man who figured it out. Good job. Good wife, good kid, and not one picture has me in it. Not one. I'm the ghost in his life. The man who gave him everything and got erased for it. My sentence was 20 years. I've done 24, parole denied 3 times. The board says I show lack of insight into the crime. You know what that means? That means I won't say I'm sorry. And I won't say I'm sorry because I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm sorry it had to be done. There's a difference. People ask me, the chaplain asks me, the parole board asks me, everybody asks me, do you regret it? Let me tell you what I regret. I regret working 2 jobs instead of 1. I regret every night I wasn't home when my boy needed me. I regret those scrambled eggs I left on the counter instead of sitting there watching him eat them. I regret every note I wrote that said, be home by dark, when what it should have said was, I'm home. Come find me. I regret every door I didn't close before the worst door opened. I regret the man I was before that alley, not the man I was inside it. If I could go back to that Thursday night, March 14th, 2002, 11:47 p.m., standing in that alley with my son shaking and a dead boy on the ground and sirens getting louder, I'd do it again. I do it every time, in every life, in every version of this story. Because that's what a father does. A father stands between his child and the fire, even if the fire burns him instead, even if the child walks away and never looks back. Being a father ain't a job you get paid for, ain't a job you retire from. It's a debt you owe the minute you hold that baby, and the interest never stops. Now let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest, not polite. Honest, if it was your boy, 17, standing in an alley, crying, covered in something you can't wash off, and you got about 90 seconds before the police show up, and you know that if they take him, they'll throw him in a hole so deep he'll never climb out. What would you have done? Don't answer too fast. Sit with it, because I've been sitting with it for 24 years. And the answer still ain't comfortable. Doreen says Marcus started 1st grade this year. She says he's smart. She says he reads books that are 2 grades ahead. She says he asks about me sometimes. Not a lot, but sometimes. He asks, where's Grandpa Harold? And nobody knows what to tell him.